Hi guys, I'm Dr. Tara Tobias. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. In today's home exercise tutorial, we are going to go over what some of you are calling a heavy leg. So I get a lot of comments on this. What do I do about my heavy leg? Will my heavy leg ever go away? Things along those lines. And so I know there's a lot of you out there who have this similar problem, so that is what I decided to address today. So there's a lot of things that can cause your leg to feel heavy. One is that disconnect with your brain. So you're not connecting with that side of your body as well. So that can cause the leg to feel heavy. Spasticity, or what I've called in a lot of other videos, abnormal movement patterns, can also make that leg feel heavy. So if your leg has a tendency to extend and your foot points, well, that's opposite what you need to be able to do to lift the leg. So that means all the muscles that are extending that leg are resisting your ability to lift the leg, bend the knee, and lift the foot. So that can cause the leg to feel heavy. There's also something called like post-stroke edema. So if you took your legs and you set them side by side, if the involved leg looks bigger or fatter or puffy, or if you put your finger on it and it leaves a little dent in your skin, those would be signs of what we call like post-stroke edema. So that can also make your leg feel heavy. And then a lot of people will say it's because of weakness. Now, I don't like to use the term weakness because although your leg may be atrophying because of disuse, that's really not the cause of the problem. The cause of the problem is your brain's ability to control those muscles. So I always, when I'm talking to patients that have had when I'm talking to anyone that has had a brain injury, a stroke, anything involving the brain or the spinal cord, I like to use the word more of a lost connection than I do weakness, because then you'll be addressing the cause, which is reconnecting your brain with that motor control pattern or with that movement. So I hope that makes sense. And I hope you understand a little bit more where your heaviness might be coming from. And so now what do you do about it? Well, what you do about it is you reconnect with the movements that you need to lift the leg. That movement, or focusing on just moving the leg in general, that's also going to help with edema. It may not help with the spasticity as much. So if spasticity is your main problem, I highly recommend that you watch my video. I think it's going to be up in this corner. On spasticity, weight bearing is still my #1 go-to to address spasticity. But then just reconnecting and getting that connection with the brain a little bit stronger, that will also decrease the heaviness. So the movement retraining that we're going to be going through today, or that I'm going to be demonstrating, is hip flexion. So learning how to lift the leg, learning how to bend the knee, and a little bit learning how to lift the foot. Lifting the foot is usually the last thing to come back. So if you do have a brace, I recommend you wear your ankle brace or you wear your AFO so that you can really concentrate on the hip and the knee. And then maybe devote exercises just to the ankle and lifting the foot by watching my foot drop video, or some of my videos on spasticity will help you with that. And then the goal would be at the very end, when you've gotten better control of your hip and your knee and separately worked on the ankle, you can eventually put it all together. So enough of me talking for now. But let's go ahead and jump right into the exercises. So there's 3 different positions that I think are extremely important to understand, and it's how we relearn or regain motor control. And it's based on how much strength you have. There's a certain position that's going to make it easier to learn these movements. For the leg, the typical progression would be gravity eliminated, meaning finding a position where you're not having to fight against gravity. And so to work on the movements that we're going to work on today that I mentioned earlier, side lying would be the best position to be in to address lifting the leg and bending the knee. And so that's going to be the first position that we do these in. So progression #1 would be to lay on your side, and you are literally just gonna work on bringing the leg up towards your chest, bringing that knee up towards your chest. Now, a lot of times it's really hard to control the ankle, so if you have an AFO, please, please, please put your AFO on so you can really focus on your hip and your knee while also making sure that you're not getting an abnormal movement pattern at the ankle and the ankle's trying to point down. Now, if this is really hard for you and you have trouble unlocking your knee, that usually means that you have really severe extensor or extension spasticity, meaning your leg locks out straight. So you would want to start with your legs slightly bent for this exercise, and when you put it back to the starting position, don't straighten it all the way out before you try and bring it back up again. And then as you do this, hopefully some of that spasticity will decrease a little bit and you'll be able to get it into full extension and unlock it, to unlock that knee to bring it forward. So the next progression that I like to do is you're gonna go onto your back. So technically going onto your back, now the leg's gonna have to fight against gravity. That is adding an additional challenge or making it a little bit harder. That's why this is the second progression. But there's a little intermediate step here, so we could call this like progression 1B, or a pre-progression 2 exercise. You can try and use a gym ball and put a gym ball underneath your foot. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna decrease friction, but it's also going to start with the hip a little bit flexed, which will make it easier for you to initiate that movement of bringing that leg up. So one thing that sometimes does happen is the leg does roll off the ball, typically rolls to the side. So really watch your knee, and you almost wanna aim the knee towards the opposite shoulder. That will really ensure that that leg doesn't flop out to the side when you do this exercise. So then the next set of exercises, we're just gonna remove the ball, and this is a progression within a progression. So you're now having to fight against gravity. My suggestion is you start with the knee and the hip flexed, and you try and lift the leg a little bit higher with the knee and the hip starting in a flexed position. That'll make it a lot easier to initiate the movement. And then once you get good at that, a way to progress it is to slowly move the starting position further and further out. Move the foot out and then try and bring it into your chest, move it out a little bit further and bring it into your chest. And then the final piece to this would be able to straighten it all the way out, and from a fully extended position, be able to unlock that knee. And in some cases you would be breaking that spastic pattern, unlock that knee and bring that knee into your chest. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna do a straight leg raise. So you are gonna keep the knee straight, but you're gonna try and lift the leg. And when you lift the leg, I want you to try and flex the foot. So bringing the toes towards your nose. If the foot points down, you are in a spastic pattern, and that is really not going to help when you're walking, because obviously if your foot is pointed down, that foot gets stuck on the ground, and that could be one reason why your leg feels heavy. The most advanced movement retraining in this position would be to do a straight leg raise and at the same time pulling your toes up towards your nose. So I hope you found these exercises helpful. I hope that's helping those of you out there who feel like you have a heavy leg. This is just the first part of a 2-part series that I'm gonna do. So look forward to another video on Sunday where, you know me, I love progressions and I love taking it into something functional. Part 2 of this series is gonna be how to advance this into standing, which again is another progression. In standing, a lot of times motor control is more challenging for a variety of reasons that I will go through in the next video. But even though you can perform this exercise laying down, once you get into a standing position, there's a lot of reasons why that same movement might not be possible. And it has nothing to do with gravity. So you'll have to stay tuned to the next video for the explanation on that, or my rationale or reasoning behind that. So I hope you all found this video helpful and beneficial. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, give it a thumbs up. I am literally going through, and some of the videos have over 100 likes, and I'm writing all of those down because that means those were helping a lot of people, and I really want to go back through and maybe dig a little bit deeper on some of the topics that I covered in those videos. So if you found this video valuable, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment below. I love answering your questions, so if you have any questions or concerns, please leave that below. As usual, keep working towards that 1%. We get so overwhelmed sometimes, me included. I say this stuff to all of you just as much as I say it to myself. As humans, it's so easy for us to get overwhelmed with everything we want to accomplish. You really have to step back sometimes and just look at that 1%. Are you better than you were yesterday? Are you further along towards your goal than you were yesterday? If you can say you're even 1% better, then you are on the right track, and just keep working on that 1%. You're gonna go through seasons where you're gonna be 5%, 10% better than you were the day before, but focus on, even if it's just 1%, focus on that 1% better that you are today than you were yesterday. Thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. You all have a great evening.